don't, you don't. And if you don't get it, it's because you're a loser, and get the motherfucker off my channel. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't get off.
Hey guys, welcome back to this mess. Or, if you're new, hey. It's been a minute since I've filmed. It's been a minute since I've uploaded, so I can talk about that at the end for the people that care, but for the people that are just here for the content, let's just get into it. As you can tell by today's video title, we are going to be talking about Alexandra Pierce, also known as HRH Collection on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. That pretty much is the name that she goes by. She doesn't really use her full name or her nickname or anything like that. It's just HRH Collection. Her oldest video on YouTube is from 12 years ago, and it's titled "What's in My Chanel Bag?" Fully relatable. We love that. Early influencer days. Ka-chow. And for the first 6 years of her uploading history, she mainly stuck to the traditional beauty YouTuber subjects, what's in my bag videos, makeup tutorials. She dabbled in a few vlogs here and there, but for the most part, they were like 8 to 10, maybe 15 minutes long. Now, the reason we're talking about her isn't because she is just some random beauty YouTuber who maybe got into like a little bit of scandal here and there, the usual beauty YouTuber formula, saying something, doing something, all stupid, yet not apologizing correctly. No, it's not one of those situations. Today's video and today's subject matter is honestly kind of kooky, kind of crazy, and very complex. I want to try and approach this as neutrally as possible, if that makes sense, because we're about to get into some very political things with Miss Alexandra Pierce. She is quite a controversial person. She is not an easy person to talk about, to watch, because she is a little, let's say divisive in how she presents herself online, and you either love or hate her. But I've tried my best to kind of understand her as well as I can as a viewer, that she is honestly like, I kind of like her, and that's like a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it kind of is too, because after we go through some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today, you may be like, the fuck? And you also may be like, what's the big deal? There's just really no middle ground with her, and I'm trying really hard to approach this in a middle ground, so I apologize if that doesn't come off successfully. We're gonna do our best here. With that being said, I would like to issue a disclaimer before getting into the meat and potatoes of this video. I am not trying to push an agenda on you. I'm not trying to push an opinion. I'm not trying to do anything other than pontificate and explore this subject matter that I have honestly had a lot of trouble getting my mind around. Like, this was a doozy, I'm not gonna lie. I have watched a few videos discussing HRH Collection, and there is just too much judgment. And there is definitely a bias in people reporting her. There's definitely a certain side of the platform that people are on that critique Alexandra and her content. So to start off, I want to explain why people find Alexandra problematic, because regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum or even the morality spectrum, what have you, there really is like a certain line of decency that people shouldn't cross, especially when it comes to speech volume and aggression. And Alexandra just like does not give a fuck where that line is. This girl just constantly is screaming at people in the camera, on YouTube, on the internet. Most of her videos that have gone viral, most of the TikToks that you've seen of her, she's the girl that goes, that's dumb, that's stupid.
Like, it's not the vibe. Stop! My God, I can't stand the beachy waves. It infuriates me. Like, I'm going to literally, like, I'm gonna go with a fucking scissor and like fucking cut every beachy wave off. Like, I hate beachy waves. I hate it. It's so tacky. Stop.
The way she speaks is very, I don't want to say iconic because I feel like that word just gets used too much, but it's very distinctive. Within those rants, within her screaming at the camera or the phone, whatever she's using to record, she tends to use a lot of derogatory language, particularly and especially about weight and body figure.
Eat that 12th plate at Christmas. Like, you are sick. Something's wrong with you. Twits out there, losers out there, these bitches out there have these ugly fucking mugs.
Because she considered herself a fat person at one point and feels that since she's lost this weight, she has a right to kind of speak her mind and speak her thoughts on weight loss and dieting because she is, in her eyes, a success story. She has achieved the weight that she wanted to achieve and she's been maintaining it through a low-calorie lifestyle and diet. A lot of people have problems with not only the way she describes her eating habits or promotes it to other people with this derogatory and direct language, but people have a problem with the advice that she gives as well. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's all bad advice, and I want you to really just give me a second here to explain myself. But the way she delivers this advice is not good. It can easily and almost immediately be taken as promoting eating disorders, promoting anorexia, promoting an unhealthy lifestyle that people in very fragile states can fall down a very slippery slope. I don't have Alexandra's demographics available, but I can assume from the people that I've talked about this with and the comments that I've scanned on her channel that she has women in a very important and, let's say, influential part of their lives, right? Where they're kind of starting to discover who they are, or at least trying to figure out who they are. So to have a person like Alexandra who has a little over 300,000 followers on YouTube, she does have a distinct influence over certain people, and again, with the wrong advice, the wrong time, and the wrong mindset, it could definitely be incredibly harmful. Another big thing that people have a problem with Alexandra is her political beliefs. I want to, again, approach this in a way that is fairly neutral. And I might not include this, but I just want to be transparent. I typically lean towards more left ideologies. I am a firm believer in the Black Lives Matter movement. I am a firm feminist. I believe in the rights of everybody to live and love however they want. So there's a lot of things that I find a little annoying about Alexandra and what she thinks. I just want to be transparent because I feel like even if there is a bias or maybe lack of bias in my video, I want you all to understand like where I'm coming from, if that makes sense. But Alexandra is not a Trump supporter. I don't want to say she's a Trump supporter because I couldn't see her ever flying any kind of political flag. But she does at times compliment him or compliment his presidency and has a lot of narrative that a Trump supporter may agree with. For instance, there was a moment in one of her videos where she explained that she met a political figure, I believe it was Ted Cruz actually, which I found kind of weird that this happened, and she asked them for a picture. And while I don't really understand the point of taking pictures with somebody like Ted Cruz, she wanted to take it, and if you didn't know, Ted Cruz is a very, very far-leaning Republican, and a lot of people kind of don't like him. I think that's a fair statement. Alexandra did not receive a great response from posting pictures or sharing that she ran into Ted Cruz. And the way she explained it was that she would get this way if she ran into Barack Obama, former president, or any other political figure that she felt that she wanted to have a moment with. Which, frankly, to each his own. If you get excited about meeting Ted Cruz, fine. If you get excited about meeting Obama, I would too. But needless to say, it does cement the idea that Alexandra is probably right-leaning / Republican. She's also promoted not voting in the recent election, which, let's just say, wasn't the narrative that a lot of influencers were pushing. A lot of influencers are trying to get people registered to vote or encouraging them to at least look into voting. It's not unfair to say that the Republican Party and the Democrats, for that matter, have gone through a little bit of a metamorphosis during the last two presidencies. And it's also not entirely unfair to say that those extreme representations that are currently taking over the Democratic and Republican parties are not entirely representative of most of the people within the political spectrum. Like, most people end up in the middle or somewhat near it. And there has been a bit of a massive shift in the internet culture from, I don't want to say conservative talking points or conservative narratives. There is definitely a cultural shift to be more inclusive and intersectional. And because Alexandra doesn't really go with that flow, or at least this cultural shift that we're seeing online, and she sticks a little bit more towards a neutral / right-leaning narrative, people tend to get very angry about her videos and get very angry about her thoughts. Speaking of thoughts, she has a lot of them, and while I want to talk about it more in a few minutes, I do have to emphasize the fact a lot of the times when she brings up her political thoughts, it also has a little bit of misinformation mixed in, which I'm not going to say is more of a right or left thing, but misinformation spreads on the internet very quickly, and if you're not careful, you can easily get caught up in a fake narrative. And I completely forgot to mention this before, but another reason that people have a problem with her videos is that they are now just like 40 minutes of uncut footage. She doesn't really edit in her videos unless she's taking out perhaps a portion that was meant to be private or cutting off maybe an unexcessively long silent clip. But she'll straight up just sit there like this for like 2 minutes before saying a single word in the video. She also records in her car sometimes, and the fucking engine is so goddamn loud that you can't really hear anything she's saying. Like, she does not put a lot of effort into her recording setup, and yet she's still able to film and upload basically every other week, if not every week. The girl is consistent. You gotta give her that. But another aspect of Alexandra that people find problematic, but I kind of understand, is the fact that she constantly addresses her haters in her videos. She has this way of addressing her haters in that she thinks of them as the students in the back of the class that just aren't paying attention and aren't worthy of her lessons. She calls a lot of her videos lessons, like when she talks about style and references her jewelry, stuff like that.
I just don't love the vibe. Like, I know everyone's like already irritated, but I don't care. Like, this is the way class starts. Like, I'm trying to find the fucking lighting.
And these students in the back of the class, she reads to filth almost every single upload. She starts off by saying, "You guys, I'm mad at you, we're gonna fight," and she goes on for like a few solid minutes addressing people that have left her unnecessarily mean comments or unnecessarily picky comments, saying that, "I know you're gonna say this about my nose," or "I know you're gonna say this about my shirt," and blah blah blah. Almost trying to cut people off before even saying anything. And most YouTubers, if not all of them, don't really do this. Like, there was a trend not that long ago about reading mean tweets or reading mean comments because YouTubers just don't typically address the haters. They don't, unless it's like a cancellation situation. But Alexandra addresses them every single video. She addresses them whenever she wants. And although people find it problematic, I kind of I get it. And just to give some perspective on this, for those of you who found me through TikTok, you may know that a few of my videos went viral. And one of them that I have now deleted because it just caused me way too much agita, the response that I got from most people was aggressive. Unnecessarily so. And it wasn't even like people were commenting about what I was saying or how I was saying it. They were telling me to go kill myself because I was wearing a cat shirt, or that I'm gonna die alone because I have chipped nail polish. People will attack you for like the dumbest thing online. So I don't necessarily blame Alexandra for not really holding back and calling these people out any chance she gets. But it is in a way problematic because it doesn't stop the cycle. But maybe she feels better about it, I don't know. Regardless, people have found that to be a little bit of an annoying trait that she has, along with all the other things I've talked about. I can understand if your political beliefs or ideologies fall in line with Alexandra's, that you may not see that as a big deal, and you're absolutely in your right to feel that way. We're gonna talk more about the whole politics and ideologies thing later, but now I wanna shift gears and talk about why this woman, despite all of the problematic elements that I've described, is just so addictive to watch.
I will sit on that fucking toilet with you and tell you why it's the best toilet. I fucking love that toilet, okay? Why am I behind a minifan? No, I do not go behind minifans. I already know you're gonna piss me off. Fuck out of here. Fucking minifan, fuck. Okay. Please don't hit me. Please don't reverse into me. I don't have literally another fucking shred of patience for anyone right now. I don't know. You guys, I need to stop. Okay. So let me make my drink. So let me show you guys what I'm getting. Okay, no. So let me tell you the thing now. I have this thing. So, anyway, before I was really interrupted by my own thoughts.
She is so gosh darn entertaining. And no matter how long the video is, it never actually feels that long. I always look at the time and I'm like, oh wow, look at that. Shocking, it's already wrapped up. Even though I spent a good 30 minutes of it just watching her brush her hair. One of the main things that I find so interesting about her is her absolute flawless sense of style. She has great taste. The woman knows the vibe. If you watch any of her videos, she talks about the vibe all the time. And the vibe is so important. It is. It's truly so important. And the more I watched her videos and the more I took the time to really listen to what she was saying regarding the vibe and style in general, it became more clear to me that this bitch knows what she's talking about. She has a very clear and identifiable taste and style that is not super common nowadays because a lot of people, myself included, have fallen into the fast fashion trap. Alexandra constantly pushes against that, promoting a lot of people to go vintage shopping or to go to estate sales, reduce, reuse, recycle antiques, and don't go out to Target and buy a multiple manufactured piece of shit that a million other people have. Get unique pieces that are identifiable to you because that will help strengthen who you are as a person, like your identity. She's very solid on those things. And if you just paused my video right now and went to go watch her video, you may not get that. And that's totally understandable because the woman doesn't know how to deliver shit. But if you spend some time listening to what she actually says about style, the more it becomes clear that no, she knows what she's talking about. She's a fucking genius almost. I mean, just look at her goddamn house. It is beautiful. Every time she's on camera, she looks stunning, even when she has videos where she's looking busted. And to just hone in on the whole consumerism conversation, because she really did open my eyes to this. There is so many times where I go to Marshall's, Home Goods, Target, whatever, and purchase home decor items or even clothing items that I may not necessarily have been like, I need this or my house is missing this. I kind of felt pressured to buy because I saw it on TikTok or I saw it online or I want to have a certain aesthetic that is mainstream. I felt this pressure to buy it. And I know that may sound crazy to some, but to others, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you almost feel a need to purchase something just to have like a little bit of serotonin in your brain. But since watching Alexandra's videos, I've stopped doing that. I've been able to tell myself, no, this isn't a thoughtful piece to include in your home. Why are you going to just continue to add clutter to your environment that doesn't really give you anything other than more agita? It's made me take a moment and think about what I'm bringing into my home and how my overall vibe of my house is that I never had before. And she's brought up a lot of good points about going to estate sales or yard sales and repurchasing and reusing items that were made at a time where quality was over quantity. It wasn't like there was a Target or Walmart back in the day that could just mass manufacture a bunch of items. Things had to be done by hand or they had to be done in a very time-consuming way. So going out and buying multiple of them or buying a new one every month was just not possible. So when you did purchase something, it had to last you. And most of the stuff from that time period is still good today. My mom's got china sets from like the 20s that are still solid and good to go. I mean, not for nothing, a lot of the things that I purchase from Target, from Home Goods, from Marshall's, they don't tend to be great quality and I have to replace them a few years later. So when I hear Alexandra talk about going to estate sales and purchasing gorgeous silverware that is one of a kind for like $50 instead of going to buy another cheap set of silver plated crap from Home Goods, it makes a lot of sense to me. It clicks a lot of wires in my head of like, okay, maybe I don't need to be addicted to Amazon. Maybe I should start looking into going to estate sales or yard sales or what have you. Because I also feel there's value in giving old things new homes. You know, I watched Toy Story when I was a kid. I felt that. I just also wanted to add a quick note that I fully acknowledge and recognize that it really is a place of privilege for Alexandra to say that it is better to go to antique sales or high-end thrift stores, vintage stores, whatever, because those things can be pricier than the items at like Walmart, Target, Marshall's, stuff like that. And it's a privilege to have a choice in those kinds of necessities and basic items rather than just defaulting to the most budget-friendly option. And I also just wanted to add this part in. Alexandra is a well-known, well-promoted anti-mask wearer. I didn't want to include anything about COVID or vaccine just because I'm pretty sure YouTube is very aware of content related to that, and they can be a little restrictive in a lot of ways. So I just didn't want to include it for the sake of everyone's sanity, but I just wanted to add a note, I suppose, that she also does that. Now, I want to talk about the dieting advice. And again, I want to try and be careful with this because I feel that there is a very temperamental attitude towards body positivity and body shaming and all that stuff. The way women have been marketed to for most of my life has been in a fairly body shaming way. I can acknowledge and emphasize that the way she delivers it is not good. Name calling, being belligerent, bullying people into looking a certain way or feeling a certain way about how they look is wrong. I acknowledge and I feel that 100%. However, I have to address the fact that she's kind of right in some ways. When it comes to advice like not eating after 8 p.m., the way Alexandra will say it is very like, you need to stop eating at 8 p.m. because you're a fatso, and if you can't do that, then you're blah, 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 blah. Like, she's very mean about it. But the actual advice of not eating past 8 o'clock or not snacking late at night is legitimate weight loss advice. I had spoken to a friend of mine not that long ago who is a licensed and practicing health advisor with a doctorate in health. This bitch knows what she's talking about. And one of the pieces of advice that she has given me was to not eat past 8 p.m. or to try and not snack super late at night. If your initiative, if your goal is to lose weight, you should not be demonized for wanting to do so. It is perfectly fine to want to go on a diet, to want to lose weight if you want to do so for the right reasons. So advice on not eating past a certain time is not inherently bad. But again, the way she delivers it is bad. But if you're able to decipher and clean up around her advice and statements, some of it is not bad. It's not terrible. Sticking to a low-calorie diet is one of the ways in which you can lose weight. Should you be harming yourself? Absolutely not. But to just sit here and say that she's wrong, that's not true. It's not entirely true. Is she a bitch? Abso-fucking-lutely. And that is one of the reasons why she's just so gosh darn fun to watch or to keep up with, because she is so candid. The way she speaks is so uncommon amongst most influencers, especially for somebody with her level of intelligence. I don't know a lot of influencers that have master degrees. She does. And honestly, that is kind of the reason I feel a lot of people love her so much, is because she is so candid. She is so honest with her subscribers. And although a lot of people feel that she isn't, especially about her jewelry line, which I'm going to talk about in a second, she is one of the very few influencers that I've observed that does portray a fairly candid and honest perspective. She does not shield her opinions. She doesn't care if it offends you. She'll say what she has to say. And with a lot of influencers focusing more on brandability and sponsorability in their videos, it is very refreshing to see somebody authentically themselves, regardless if you like it or not. I just want to add a couple more opinions really quick before I get into like my full-blown analysis of Alexandra and her whole shtick. I feel that people judge conventionally beautiful women or conventionally attractive women as unintelligent because there's been a very long-standing narrative of if you're pretty, you don't have to be smart. And that is a very sexist way of thinking. And I firmly believe that you can be intelligent or a moron no matter how you look. And I feel that a lot of people write off Alexandra for being a dumb bitch because of her political beliefs and because of how she speaks and how she presents herself. She is gorgeous. You cannot deny that. You can't sit there and tell me she's not gorgeous. You also can't sit there and tell me that she doesn't sound like a typical Valley girl. I don't know what the right word is. I think it's vernacular, maybe her diction. The way she speaks is very deceptive. Prejudging somebody based on how they look and how they sound is horrid. It's not a good thing. And it really does limit you from experiencing different types of personalities and perspectives in life. And to be frank with you, some things don't deserve more of an explanation of that's stupid or that's dumb. Sometimes things are just fucking stupid and dumb and we don't need to talk about them further. So we've gotten the bad about Alexandra, we've gotten the good. What do we do with this information? As I was creating the structure and I guess conclusion of this video, I had an epiphany about why she is just so gosh darn enjoyable to watch, even though you may feel morally conflicted in supporting her. And my epiphany was that Alexandra Pierce of HRH Collection is the Joker. Let me explain. When we think about the character of the Joker, we think about the original context, but we also may think about the Heath Ledger interpretation in The Dark Knight. There's a very broad idea of what the Joker represents, and that is somebody who operates within their own set of rules, does whatever they want, and feels however they feel, and nothing you say or do can really change their mind. I got a little further into it by looking into this article titled Understanding the Joker, a Psychological Perspective, and I found a few things in this article that I want to share. And apologies if I pronounce anybody's name bad, I am not that good at words. Carl Jung was an early 20th century psychologist and psychotherapist, highly influenced by Sigmund Freud. While controversy surrounds his theories today, one of his ideas has stuck around that most people regard as true. We all break bad every once in a while. He explained this phenomenon with a concept called the shadow. The shadow is the part of a person's psyche that we refuse to acknowledge. It's the part of you that wishes you could beat up your boss and then steal his wallet. It's the part of you that wishes you could rob a bank in a clown mask, or hurl down a public street in a semi firing off rocket launchers. It's a part of you that wants to abandon rules. Psychologists tell us of what's called illusionary superiority, the cognitive bias in us all that causes a person to think far too highly of their own positive qualities and far too little of their negative ones. We like to think of ourselves as noble, honest, and good, especially in comparison to other people. We like to believe that we'd never hurt someone or cause any damage of any kind. It is precisely because the Joker bombs and murders and corrupts that so many viewers get a kick out of watching him. He acts in a way that he sometimes wishes we could, deep down, and we get a vicarious rush of watching him indulge in such behavior without anyone really getting hurt. So how this relates to Alexandra and why I feel that Alexandra would be a Joker archetype is because she operates within her own rule set. She speaks how she wants to speak, she presents herself how she wants to present herself, and regardless of what anybody, the law, being YouTube comments and subscribers, regardless of what they say or do, she's just gonna keep doing it. And in reference to the shadow concept, I don't think of it in that I want to be able to say the things that Alexandra's saying. I don't. I find her way of speech to be very aggressive unnecessarily. In the way that she addresses haters, in the way that she just says whatever she feels, regardless of how people end up feeling about it, there is an admirable aspect of that. And in the same way that the Joker wouldn't be who he is without this absolute ambivalence towards rules and law, Alexandra could not be who she is if she did not have these right-leaning, problematic ideologies. There is something incredibly restrictive about PC and liberal culture or left-leaning culture. There's a big pressure to make sure that you always speak in a way that is inclusive. There's a big pressure to make sure that everything is intersectional, everything is for everybody. And although I feel that is a very, very good thing, and we should all strive to be inclusive and broadening our perspectives to all, there is a huge hindrance to the way that you're able to express yourself. And I feel that's a lot of where cancel culture comes in. When people speak without fully thinking or without fully knowing something, people tend to jump down their throat very quickly and label them as a bigot, racist, what have you, whatever, without fully giving them a moment to reflect and adjust their actions accordingly. Now, I may come off as a hypocrite in this moment because I have made videos about people who were previously canceled. If I may explain myself out of that for a moment, I hyperfixate on people who have made mistakes, had the time to make up for said mistakes, and chose not to. I am not one to jump down anyone's throat immediately or cancel them without giving them either the benefit of the doubt or at least letting them explain themselves first. So in that, Alexandra would not be able to be who she is, express herself the way she does, and create the vibe if she was liberal or a left-leaning person. She has to have that liberty in ignorance. And this isn't to say that PC culture is always restrictive. In a lot of ways, it's very liberating and necessary for people to be able to express themselves and their identities and sexualities. However, I'm focusing more on the id of the situation versus the ego. The Mr. Hyde to Dr. Jekyll, the shadow that Alexandra portrays for a lot of people through her videos. If Alexandra had to correct herself based on sexism, racism, intersectionality, all of that, she would not be who she is. She would not have the vibe that she does. In the way that the Joker uses murder, violence, blackmailing, all that stuff in order to achieve his end goals, Alexandra uses derogatory and offensive language, and in both ways, they're adored for it. People love the Joker, despite the fact that he is objectively an awful person. Like, he should not be adored and loved the way he is. The same way Alexandra really shouldn't either, based on the way that she speaks and the way she addresses very sensitive social topics. However, she's still adored by her subscribers. She constantly talks about how people DM her, thanking her for her weight loss advice and how it's worked, or saying that they really appreciate her style advice. It really does make you feel conflicted because this person is objectively doing and saying very bad things, and yet I like them. It's very interesting, and especially coming out of this recent turbulent, although it's not much better now, coming out of the super turbulent and divisive election that was in 2020, it's interesting to kind of explore the idea of not necessarily supporting somebody with very differing political beliefs, but coming to some kind of conclusion as to whether or not you really could be friends with somebody or like somebody that has such differing political beliefs to you. And at the end of the day, politics are not just politics. Like, this is people's lives. So to give you an example of the parallels between Joker and Batman, I recently rewatched the Dark Knight movie, and although I've got a lot of personal thoughts about that movie, I will say the scene or sequence where Batman enters the fundraising party that he's throwing for Harvey Dent and makes a big show. Like, I don't know if y'all remember, but homeboy flies in late to his own party at his penthouse with 3 bitches in a helicopter, enters the room and completely commands everybody's attention, makes a grand little speech about endorsing Harvey Dent, and nary 30 seconds later, the Joker busts in and does the exact same thing. He commands the attention of the room, he causes everybody to look around, and he makes a grand old speech about Harvey Dent. And that is the most literal representation of the two halves, that is the Joker and Batman. So if Alexandra is the Joker, who the fuck is the Batman? Well, I have got news for you, Gotham City, because your new Batman is Drew. You 100% have seen this woman on TikTok because she is out here cutting misogynists down, telling incels what's good. Like, she is out here righting the wrongs of a lot of internet culture. And although, again, you may not like her because of the way she speaks or her vernacular or her laugh, whatever it may be, she is, I feel, the antithesis of what Alexandra is. Drew is also somebody that advocates for Black Lives Matter. She tends to be very liberal in her thought process. She definitely gives very I'm here for everybody type vibes. She doesn't ever speak in any kind of body shaming way. I feel that if her and Alexandra were ever to interact, which they wouldn't, I don't even know if they actually know of each other. I wouldn't be shocked if they did or didn't. But if they were to ever be in a room together, bitch, it would be a motherfucking show. It would be the last 30 minutes of the Dark Knight series, which was just wall-to-wall chaos. I wholeheartedly think she is the only person that would be capable of, I don't want to say changing Alexandra's mind, because I don't think her mind could be changed. She's very sure in who she is, and I'm not going to take that away from her. But I do think she would pose a very interesting challenge towards Alexandra and vice versa, because both of them display themselves in very confident and very assured ways. They just are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. And I think they are equally matched in a lot of ways, but the reason that Drew is Batman and Alexandra's the Joker, besides what I've already described, is that Drew is going to surpass, if not she has already surpassed, Alexandra as far as internet support and cross-promotion with other influencers. Alexandra has been on a few podcasts recently, but Drew has really been popping off in a big way, and she has a ton of support. And because she is a little bit more on the inclusive side of the spectrum, she's able to tap into a lot of the groups that Alexandra has ostracized through her language and political choices. But at the end of the day, Alexandra does have her jewelry collection, which a lot of people think is fake. And while that might be true, I highly doubt it, because all of the unboxings and reviews that I've seen of HRH Collection have been really good. And with the way she speaks about it, I just can't believe fully that she is just buying shit on AliExpress and reselling it for an extreme profit. If you really listen to the way she speaks about her brand, she has a lot of heart in it. If you read her bio, it has a lot of heart in it. And maybe this is just me being on the benefit of the doubt. I would like to think that she wouldn't have created this much success if her jewelry was a scam, because not for nothing, I don't think YouTube is paying for all of her life. It seems like she's making a very good profit off of HRH Collection. And I think there's probably like a little bit of sexism in that criticism of her jewelry brand. Like, I don't think people can just accept the fact that this girl who is conventionally attractive and has a very distinct way of speaking, that she just cannot possibly be capable of starting and maintaining a jewelry brand. I think people are just being a little sexist when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just think of all the times that I see other like guys who are business owners who definitely speak out of their assholes all the time, and yet nobody seems to question them and their abilities to run a brand. It's treated very differently. Some concluding thoughts on this before I wrap up this video. I do not know where I stand when it comes to Alexandra and her content. Although I find it insanely entertaining and helpful when it comes to style advice and home decor, I cannot shake the fact that she is just so divisive in her mindset and speech, and she does believe or not believe in a lot of things that I hold near and dear to my heart, like the Black Lives Matter movement and feminism. But on the other hand, god damn it, do I enjoy the crap out of her style advice. And I do genuinely think that she is a genius in a lot of ways when it comes to the vibe and what the vibe does. At the end of the day, your views are dollars, and it's your choice on where you spend them and who you give them to. I just really hope that we continue to move towards a more inclusive and open-minded space on the internet, without jumping down people's throats immediately when it comes to differing opinions and thoughts. Wow, I've been trying to put this video together for like a solid month, so I hope that I was able to do that. I hope I was able to present this in a way that is digestible, or at least understandable. Girl, I have no idea if I'm even gonna upload this. And for those of you that have stuck around for the life update, okay, well, listen, I have had a hard time recently. Not with anything personal, but more so career-wise. I'm just in a weird spot, as a lot of people are, and I'm hoping that I can at some point commit myself to a schedule when it comes to uploading, but I doubt that's going to be in the near future. I'm going to aim for uploading at least once a month, at the very least, but I can't guarantee it's going to be super extensive, well-researched videos that you may be accustomed to or prefer on my channel. I have no idea. My fucking view count is all over the goddamn place. It is currently 2 o'clock in the morning. I believe it is time for me to wrap up this video, and I just want to say thank you again to everybody who's stuck around and continues to stick around with this channel. I'm just rambling now, so let's just get this shit done. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I'm up to on a day-to-day basis. Subscribe down below if you'd like to see my next video, whenever the fuck that's gonna be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!